Well, hello and welcome back, my body language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and today we have this case of a chess scandal or a scandal in the world of chess between Magnus Carlsen, the number one in the world, and up and coming rising star Hans Niemann, 19-year-old from America, and Magnus is from Norway. Well, we have this alleged cheating. After talking about the case, so you can understand what is it about, then I will be analyzing Hans Niemann interview about, well, all this alleged cheating. But if you already know about the case and want to jump right into the analysis, then go to this time code in the video, or if you're watching on YouTube, jump to the corresponding chapter. Well, the summary of what happened is that Carlsen and Niemann were head-to-head on the Sinkebel Cup, and that game resulted in Niemann's win. But this was very strange for two reasons. First, Carlsen was playing with the whites, so was an advantage over his opponent, and Carlsen hadn't lost, I think it was like 50 games prior, playing with whites prior to this game. He is also the number one of the world. You can say, well, maybe Niemann's rising star, a brilliant kid that just stopped that streak from Carlsen. But things started to go a bit strange when the match ended and, well, Carlsen stands up and Niemann had already run away from the scene, and he said these words when he was going to be interviewed.
Hans, yesterday was a terrible day for you, and today you start out with a masterpiece. How would you summarize it?
Chess speaks for itself.
Is it something special doing this against Magnus, Hans?
Needless to say, those words became a meme, but it was not until the next day when Magnus Carlsen decided to, via a tweet, withdraw from the competition. I've withdrawn from the tournament. I've always enjoyed playing with the Sinkebel Chess Club and hope to be back in the future. And including a very cryptic video of Jose Mourinho saying, if I speak, I am in big trouble. It was the clip.
If I speak, I am in big trouble.
So Carlsen was sending some kind of message, and he definitely didn't want to, well, speak openly about his decision. To make things even more strange, the next time Hans Niemann went on to play, well, some extreme security measures were implemented. Nobody had spoken anything publicly about cheating. Nobody said anything about it. But, well, it was not only this heavy scanning of his body, I guess it's of the other players as well. And besides that, the broadcasting of the matches were going to be 15 minutes delayed, so they were not going to be in real time. So there was this additional security measure, so if anybody was going to see those matches outside the venue, they will be watching them with a 15 minutes delay. And that's when the speculations began to take off. Like, well, there must have been something that upset Carlsen to the point of leaving. In fact, former number one Garry Kasparov said on Twitter, Carlsen's withdrawal was a blow to chess fans, his colleagues at the tournament, the organizers, and, as the rumors and negative publicity swirled in a vacuum, to the game. The world title has its responsibilities, and a public statement is the least of them here. Those cheating theories and conspiracies ran wild, and one of them was this: that currently obsessed with the notion that Hans Niemann has been cheating at the Sinkebel Cup chess tournament using wireless anal beads that vibrate him the correct moves. And this was picked up by Elon Musk. Talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one can see because it's in your butt. Schopenhauer, of course. All of this were speculations, but there was another problem to that. People were using computational power, well, the current chess artificial intelligences, to analyze Hans Niemann's moves and how could he win such a match. Well, the fact is that the numbers tell a different story of just being a prodigy kid in this case. Like, he is playing at superhuman level and not at his current chess level. So there's a huge deviation from his current human level as analyzed by computers. Needless to say, there is zero evidence of cheating yet, and it's very, very difficult to prove anything because it's impossible to go back in time to that match or, try to make sense of what happened. And so the most recent development of this is that Hans Niemann sues Magnus Carlsen, chess.com, and another chess player for 100 million, accusing them of defamation. This is huge. Of course, a lot of money because he says that they have tainted his reputation. So all this takes us to this interview when he's asked about what just happened in that game. How did he make those moves? What is going on in social media? Why everybody's not everybody, but so many people are claiming that he cheated. What does he have to? How can he defend himself against these accusations? And this is how it goes.
Hans, we got to speak about the elephant in the room. You've asked to have some words.
So there's been a lot of things that have been, the media stuff, and I just have a lot of things to say, and I've thought a lot about what I want to say and how I'm going to say it. And
notice that he starts by having this attitude, having this certain gestures, protective gestures covering his neck. That is important to notice. As soon as he hears that, it comes the delicate part of the interview where he has to, defend himself against these allegations. He also rubs his chin, and what is a pacifying gesture. He's trying to pacify himself, and he also has this very close arm crossing. You can see that his elbows are really tight against his body, so he's also trying to defend himself.
Let's just discuss a few things. So, first of all, my accent. I'm sorry. This is just the first thing. This is just the most funny thing, because if you want me to speak like an American right now, I can't even tell. But for the last 2 years,
at some point, he also begins to talk rapidly on certain topics. He's talking about the accent, like people are claiming in social media that how come he's American, but he sometimes he has an American accent and sometimes has like an European accent. And he claims that, he travels a lot, or maybe he just picks up an accent of other people that he plays with. But at the same time, he also talks about, not socializing much because his life is chess and he spends most of his days silent, just playing and practicing and studying and everything, and in general solitude. So it's a bit contradicting, but regarding his accent, I don't think it's much of a problem. Some people claim that he makes this odd accent to make himself more interesting or more as part of his brand image. I think this just since he travels a lot, maybe he picks these accents from the people that he plays with or hangs out with. It's a possibility. It happens even if English is your mother tongue, or in my case, Spanish is my mother tongue, and it can happen that someone born in Venezuela, if we travel to Argentina, then after maybe 1 year or 2 years, maybe we will have that accent. That's something that can actually happen, so I don't assign much weight to that part.
I have lived in a suitcase traveling around Europe playing chess nonstop. I spend so much time working on chess that I simply don't go outside and socialize with people who speak fluent English.
Very nice. He's saying that, people that speak fluent English, maybe he's playing with people from every country whose English is not their mother tongue.
This is just one thing I want to talk about. Before I say anything, I have spent the last 2 years not spending any time in America, and even when I'm in America, I don't go outside other when I pick up my food. I'm just too busy with chess. So all these things saying that I'm faking an accent and that like I'm putting on some facade. That is like the most ridiculous thing I've ever said. And if anyone is using my newfound accent to make any conclusions about anything chess related,
Now let's jump to the part when he begins to talk about his actual playing. Maybe you don't have that much experience on chess, but we are going to focus on his body language so we can understand any contradiction that we can see between his words, his voice tone, and his body language.
there's this thing in chess called transpositions. Okay. Now, when he played the move a3, of course I'm expecting the move knight f3. Now, let's say in the Catalan, no, let's show it because this is just embarrassing. This is absolutely embarrassing. And I'm sorry if I'm coming off hostile. It's just a passionate thing for me. So let's go to the, so after bishop, so let's say the Catalan,
With the knight f3 move order, you mean?
yeah, so let's say you play knight f3,
Okay.
d5, g3, bishop b4 check. Wait, there's a move knight c3 here. And then after castles, there's a move bishop g2. And after dc4, a3, bishop c3, bc3, c5. Here we have, in chess, we call it transposition.
So you can see that speaking about chess and directing the flow of what happened in that game, he's totally confident. He has regular tending to fast rate of speech, but he doesn't stutter or doesn't stutter much. And he's like replaying the game in his mind. He's making this reference to this these chess terms. And yes, he's a bit arrogant at the same time, but I'm going to attribute that to his age. Maybe people say that he has this grand ego, but that is normal. He's a very high competition level. He's 19 years old. I will take that as a healthy human being at that age.
To be transposed properly. Here there's a move queen a4. I don't know, this is a move that I was concerned with in the game, but now there's bishop d7. I thought in the game queen takes c4, bishop c6, knight f3, and then I thought knight to d7. He plays castles, I thought bishop to d5, and then I play c5. And then I thought this was my plan. So I understood, at least not in most precise way, but I understood that there was going to be the move knight f3, thus leading to a transposition.
Notice that when he's talking about the chess playing, he's absolutely fluent. That is like his passion. That is what his mind is wired to. But when he tries to express in words what was going through his head, his plan, he has to pause. He has to like change to explain my thinking, explain my game. That is normal. He's switching from one phase to the other. Maybe you can see that he stutters a bit. Maybe you can see that his eyes move all around the place. He is not that confident. But in this case, it's that he's switching what his mind is doing from chess playing, which he does pretty well, to explaining his playing. Maybe he's not used to explaining how he plays, so that must be the change. That is normal. That is a normal change in body language. Maybe it's not that he's lying or he's nervous. He's passionate about what he's doing, how he played, and it shows.
So this is why I took some time. People are saying that I'm taking time and that I'm making up that I meant. Like, I checked it because it's a transposition. I'm spending extra time to make sure that the transposition is correct because it's the world champion, and he's just sprung a very dangerous trap. Now, if I don't know this, it can be very dangerous. But the fact that it's not a miracle, it's actually me being extremely tedious and going through every single possible transposition or sort of line that he could play in the Catalan. That's the first thing. Okay.
Okay, at this point, there was another change on his body language and the quality of his voice. He was rushing some words. He was a bit rushy at the end of his sentences. He was looking a bit down. His body language also changed when he's talking about the actual confrontation against Carlsen. Like he's in defensive posture, leaning a bit away from the interviewer, and with his left arm covering his chest a bit. There's a bit of a defensive gesture, and so we can see that the actual fact of facing Magnus Carlsen made him nervous, and it shows right now because he's just recollecting the memories of what happened, just making a summary of what happened at that game. And it's not just the playing itself, but the fact of being against the number one in the world. Now, pay attention to this part.
This, okay, you can debate full of energy, but like, it's not. Sometimes you just forget things. So the notion that I simply can't speak about chess on a high level is completely ridiculous. I'm a very intuitive player. I made a gut call to play Queen G3, and it paid off. And even if you look at the pattern of my games, you know, it's I'm clearly missing many chances, and it's extremely human chess. Now, okay, so.
Okay, now he's actually, what you've seen is actually being terrified. I wanted to show all the levels, so to speak, from being totally confident, talking about the game itself, from switching to speaking about his game, or how he played, to speaking about his confrontation with Magnus Carlsen, like the event in itself, which makes him a bit nervous. And now he's trying to justify movements, and he's just dismissing them as well. There was this gut instinct, and that was it. And you can notice in the way he talks that he's terrified at that moment. He's really nervous. And that's something that I don't understand. This is the part that I don't understand. A player of his level should have this intuitive moments, this gut feeling moments, when you say, hey, this must be it. After, of course, you I don't have that much experience with chess, but I've read about the psychology of playing chess, and I think the part of the gut, justifying your moves with your gut, makes some sense when you have, of course, a truly high level of development or training. In this case, you're at the highest level, one of the highest levels. And what I don't get, what I don't know, has this noise, is that someone that is at this level and has this gut reaction and plays by this gut reaction and wins, he won't be afraid to say, hey, I made this by my gut. I'm a very intuitive player. If he's as arrogant as he looks, it's natural, 19-year-old again, he has this attitude, and he made a brilliant move just by gut feeling, is something to be proud of. You will be like, hey, I'm proud of this. I did this in an intuitive way. Okay? I'm a natural at this. I didn't have to think that too much. That is something that you can use to brag about. My question is, why is he nervous talking about this? That's something that just doesn't fit. That's the first thing that I see in terms of more than body language is behavior. Because, okay, body language, you can have all the clues that you want. But sometimes it doesn't make sense from what they are talking about. I understand that he is nervous talking about his confrontation, but when he's going to talk about his strengths and, well, how his gut helped him win that match, well, that's something that he should be proud of. Why is he nervous saying that? Let's check out that body language again, especially his voice, how he speaks.
You just forget things. So the notion that I simply can't speak about chess on a high level is completely ridiculous. I'm a very intuitive player. I made a gut call to play Queen G3, and it paid off. And even if you look at the pattern of my games, you know, it's I'm clearly missing many chances, and it's extremely human chess. Now, okay. So this is.
Now let's see what he has to say about the cheating allegations back then when he was younger.
Child, and nothing happened then. Now, 4 years later, when I was 16 years old during my streaming career in an absolutely ridiculous mistake in unrated games. After that, when I was 12, I have never, ever in my life cheated in an over-the-board game, in an online tournament. They were in unrated games. And I'm admitting this, and I'm saying my truth because I do not want any misrepresentation. I am proud of myself that I learned from that mistake and now have given everything to chess. I have sacrificed everything for chess, and I do everything I can to improve. So I'm going to get started. Basically, I wanted to gain some rating. I just wanted to get higher rated so I could play stronger players. So I cheated in random games on chess.com. Now, I was confronted, I confessed, and this is the single biggest mistake of my life, and I'm completely ashamed. And I'm telling the world because I do not want any misrepresentation, and I do not want rumors. I have never cheated in an over-the-board game. When I was 12 years old, I have never, ever, ever, and I would never do that. That is the worst thing I could ever do, cheat.
Okay, a couple of things here. There are many signals of his body language. I think he's telling the truth in the sense of, well, he's accepting that he had cheated to, well, rank faster so he could play stronger players. He's accepting that that happened. What he's not being clear about is the amount of times that it happens, because in chess.com claims that it was more than 100 games that he cheated. So he's trying to be vague about the number of times that he cheated on chess.com. That is not good for him. That doesn't look good on him. But there's one gesture that happens precisely at the moment that he's talking about over the board games, which is face-to-face games, not over the internet, but face-to-face.
I don't want any misrepresentation, and I do not want rumors. I have never cheated in an over-the-board game.
Yeah, I wanted to show you exactly what he did here. He put his tongue in his cheek. It was a reaction, a pacifying reaction. He stopped mid-sentence, or at the end of that sentence, to think what he was going to say next. But that is just a signal. It's well, not that common signal when you're talking. Has not been a common signal when he talks. It's not part of his usual body language, his baseline. And it was right after perhaps the most important statement of this interview. I'm gonna go back. I have never cheated in an over-the-board game. And then he does that. I think he was trying to make a point about this board game with Magnus Carlsen. But there's something else to the story that, well, I cannot tell you what else is that, but what I do know, that there was this emotional reaction at that exact moment. And if I was interviewing or doing some kind of interrogation, I will press on that statement over the so you never cheated in any over the board game. I will ask the question again, and I encourage you, if at the most important statement of an interrogation or an interview, you see that the person has emotional reaction, a pacifying gesture like what he does with his tongue, or covering his mouth, or touching his nose, anything, it doesn't immediately say that he's lying. It doesn't imply that the person is lying per se, but it's something happening with the person that could also be nervous, of course. And the only way to know that is to ask him the question again, maybe paraphrasing the question, and that will help you better assess what is going on with that answer, why the person is nervous. Of course, that's why a good interrogation technique is to make the person be as comfortable as possible. To make sure the person makes sure that, well, you're not judging them, you're not accusing them, and that will help you a lot, because that way, if they have an emotional reaction, is because the struggle is not with you, the interviewer, but within themselves. If they have any emotional display, is because they are struggling with something inside themselves. It's not that they are afraid of you or you're threatening them, because you will just be adding noise to their answers.
Chess.com has suddenly decided to hop on Magnus's insinuations, Hikaru's very direct accusations. Now they see the opportunity, okay, we're just going to get rid of this. I believe that this is completely unfair. This is a targeted attack, and if you look at my games, this is not, it has nothing to do with my games. So why do you specifically, why does the CEO of Chess come to me and say we're looking forward to having the Global Chess Championship, we're looking forward to you playing on our events, and then right when I beat Magnus, they decide to remove my account and not let me play in the tournaments. This is absolutely ridiculous, and they've only done this because of what Magnus has said, what Hikaru says, and that the entire social media and chess world is completely attacking me and undermining me. And they maybe would think that I would be afraid to tell the entire world that I cheated in some random games, and I cheated in a tournament when I was 12 years old, but I'm not afraid. Because I know who I am, and I know the chess player that I am, and I know what I give to chess. So I'm not going to be scared, to be manipulated, and to be conspired against, to try to ruin my chess career when I know what has happened. So
I'm going to tell you what I think of this. I think that he acknowledges that he has cheated in the past. There's no way of proving that he cheated against Magnus Carlsen. This is going to get ugly with that lawsuit. But in the end, the following months, maybe 6 months, 7 months, I don't know, when we keep seeing Hans Niemann playing, that will be the ultimate judge, because whatever he plays, are going to be this ultimate security measures to make sure that there's no doubt that there's no cheating involved. And whatever happens with his chess ranking, well, that will be a good measure of what really happened here. There's a lot of more details, but I think the most important details were this interview. If you want more or a deeper or a second part of this analysis, just let me know and I will run through it. But as I tell you, the most important part is when he makes this statement that he has never cheated an over the board game face to face. And has that tiny reaction, and of course being able to study all these faces, how he talks about chess, he's playing, he is a bit more nervous, the confrontation with Magnus, and trying to and talk about the claims that he cheated. That's when he actually loses. When he tries to justify the fact that he had this good feeling, that doesn't make sense to be so nervous. I would like to know what do you think in the comments. My body language buddies, remember to download my 100 body language tips right in the description of this video. And I'm also building my locals community. And you can also find in the description the link to my locals community, and join me there for all the videos and all the opinions that I cannot have on YouTube or Twitter or anywhere else. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy. And remember, much love and bliss.